All right. I will call to order the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners formal session for October 31st, 2024. Happy Halloween, everybody. It is 10:09 in the morning. And Christian, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Oh, there it is. And my microphone's working. Item C is our calendar session. Is there anything to add? I know I sent an email last night. It was kind of late, but about a FEMA work session with Ken Friday. It's been scheduled. Okay. I hadn't seen a. So next week. Okay. Perfect. Awesome. Anything else to add to calendar? Okay. So item D is our public comment. This time period is reserved for public comment on any topic other than an agenda item, a quasi judicial land use matter, or a topic scheduled for a public hearing. We have a couple of general public comment, and then if anyone is here to talk about the ARPA funding, I want to call for that comment now because the public hearing later is just strictly to authorize the board to move that money into our budget, our current budget, and be able to spend it. So that's just sort of a strict kind of a transactional public hearing. So I just want to give a heads up to that. So I'll be calling for more general public comment on ARPA right now. So I do want to start with, is it Tamsin Cranmer? Hopefully I said your name right. Apologize if I didn't. Welcome.
Good morning.
I wrote it down, so, because I get kind of nervous sometimes.
Oh, that's okay. If you could start out just by letting us know your name and your address, that would be fantastic.
So my name's Tamsin Cranmer, and I'm a resident of the Turnkey program here in McMinnville. The address is 2065 South Highway 99, and we're in room 201.
Great, thank you.
And I just wanted to say, I've lived in Yamhill County for about 33 years now. I have some serious concerns about YCAP, the Navigation Center, and the fact that it's getting to be cold again. It was this time last year that the Navigation Center was opening in Newburgh. And while it was opening, they shut the other shelter down and people were left to fend for themselves. Had it not been for a lease with the CWC and I'm Mary Sterrett, people would have been outside with nothing. That's about to happen here in McMinnville. They just got the funding pushed out. They're not opening. They pushed it again till the end of the year, and they funded the Friday night shelter till the end of the year. Right before they open that Navigation Center in January or February, they're going to close the only shelter we have in McMinnville down. There's no protection for those of us that live outside of McMinnville, as YCAP is the only option for us here, and that concerns me. As someone who has accessed assistance through YCAP, both in the past and currently, I know firsthand the issues related to trying to get help through them. Experience has taught me that getting help from them often makes things worse instead of better. At the forum, I heard that these issues were solved through partnering with other agencies, but who's going to partner with us? Because there really isn't an agency or group of people that are willing to help. I've been telling people about the lack of services through YCAP and the traumatizing way that the services that are available happen. For years, I've been asking why no one seems to notice how a whole group of people are being left outside to die. Sure, something is said about the situation and yet nothing happens. When are we going to insist on changing things? When is YCAP going to be held accountable for the people that are being broken and left to die outside? I'm aware that I sound dramatic, but things are seriously in need of change. The very enforcement of laws here in McMinnville even, around illegal camping, are a big part of what's keeping people outside. When you go to get a rental and your background is screened, they screen for criminal trespassing for 3 years. Every time you get a criminal trespass charge, you can't be housed for 3 years. And they're handing those things out like they're candy to the people that YCAP is refusing to help. And what's the response from the cities and community? More laws and regulations that do harm to people and not any good. We should be able to have a chance to get out of homelessness and the dangers it comes with. And yet instead we're ignored and penalized for not being able to get help. My family received housing assistance through YCAP 5 years ago. And when all was said and done, we were in a worse place than when we started. We were treated unfairly, left to sit for months, over a year at one time, and then we were terminated for mistakes made by YCAP. We were ignored and left alone to be evicted and later to live in a tent with our son. At one point, an elected official in Lafayette tried to involve Children's Services for the situation we were forced into by the very governing body she's a part of. We were left out in that tent trying to survive and were forced to fight to stay in the only safe place we could find. I hesitate to say this because nothing is ever done. And most of the time, people assume I'm just playing the victim or being dramatic, when in fact, all I'm trying to do is bring attention to the situation as it truly is instead of just letting it happen. We went to the only place in the county with resources to help, and not only were we ignored for months on end, but when we finally did receive help, that help actually made things worse. I wish I had more time to go through and tell you our story and the many more just like it. But even then, it's been my experience that once I'm not standing here in front of people that are supposed to help, my concerns are just pushed aside and the situation is allowed to continue. I'm asking that you revisit what happened last year and help me to prevent it from happening again. We need more options for services besides just YCAP, and the people responsible for the way things are need to be held accountable, and changes need to be made to ensure that people charged with helping are actually helping instead of making things worse. I'm not just here as an individual or to get attention. I just believe that someone needs to speak up for all of us if we want to find solutions. I also ask that when you go about your day after this and you see someone outside, ask them how YCAP has helped them lately. Or come down to dinner at St. Barnabas in McMinnville. I'll show you firsthand the people who are most affected by this. I'm asking you to hear our stories and help me find a different way. We need answers and accountability. We need YCAP to do its job or step aside so someone else can. I got one of my friends here. He signed up for comment too. And let him tell his story. It's really hard to get people to come in and tell people what's going on. YCAP is the reason we're homeless now. And I just want him to stop breaking people. There's a kid in Turnkey right now. He's 21 years old. He's deaf. He's been there for 3 months. They have not accessed the ID for him, no services, and they're kicking him out because his room was a mess. His kid is so afraid of being gone outside that he's missing now. He destroyed one of the rooms last night trying to find a way to sneak back in after he got kicked out. I don't know where he is, and when I saw him last, I'm not sure that he wasn't suicidal. This is the help that we're getting. That's all.
Thank you. Can I ask you a quick follow-up question?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming today. When you said that in the beginning, you said that the navigation center in McMinnville was delayed.
Yeah, I
Are you-
just heard from Julia in Encompass today that it's being delayed again, and then so they're funding the Friday night shelter through the end of the year, and the navigation center, for whatever reason this time, has been pushed off till sometime next year. They don't even have a date as far as she knows, because Carrie from Encompass was just in a meeting last night, I think it was, she said, and that's what she was told. And then I was told in a meeting with my caseworker, Michaela, because she's the only one that'll handle us, that the ORE funds are gone. There's no more rental assistance funds, period. They have a little bit left for deposits, and that's it. Thankfully, we're getting our housing voucher and not having to worry about YCAP after next month. But There's people waiting on those funds. I don't know how they would, they've had them for 4 months. 4 months, and half the people that they housed with those funds are being kicked out now. And I
Okay,
don't know, because not all of these people are gonna be okay, and it's getting cold. People are getting restless. They're getting upset that there's still nothing.
okay. Thank you very much.
I have a quick question.
Commissioner.
Tamsin, thank you for coming. I'm sure it's not easy to share the story. You mentioned a housing voucher. Did you get that through the housing authority or through?
I've been on the Section 8 list since 2018, and I was finally able to convince my doctor to sign the disability form for the mainstream voucher, because housing's not giving out any general housing vouchers,
No.
period. It is a process and a half just to get it. I had to get a job and get my husband's disability signed off to be able to get my voucher.
So you have a voucher, but a voucher doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to match it with a unit.
Yes, I
So
know.
so how is that working in your case?
I don't know yet, because when we got assistance through YCAP 5 years ago, the apartment that they put us in was a very bad fit. And when they ditched us, we got stranded in that apartment during the lockdown. And we owe quite a bit of money from back rent, because I do home health. My husband does remodels. Getting into somebody's home during the lockdown wasn't possible. There was a lot of stuff that YCAP just ditched us to all that. And now we're having a hard time finding a rental because of what happened. But I got a Section 8 voucher, which means that when we get our place, we're not beholden to YCAP for anything anymore,
Well, you,
finally.
okay, but you have the voucher and the gap always is, we've got vouchers, but we don't have any corresponding
Mhm.
apartments.
That's how we lost our housing to begin with 10 years ago.
So in terms of you've got the voucher, do you have anything lined up or anything promising? Does it look like you're going to have an
I'm
apartment?
I'm hoping to find that. See, that's the part that Ellen was supposed to be helping me with from Rapid Rehousing.
Right.
That was her part of the deal, and there's nothing there yet. So I'm gonna have to figure that out.
So another question, have you, so you said you got a disability
For my
for,
husband, yeah.
for your husband. Have you been in touch with Northwest Senior and Disability Services? Has YCAP or anybody introduced you to a caseworker or services there?
No, we didn't get his actual disability services yet because they haven't helped us finish that process. I got the doctor to sign off on, yes, he has a disability, so we could get the housing voucher. His actual disability process has been stalled by YCAP.
By YCAP. Okay, so I have your email.
Mhm.
I'm gonna send you some information.
Okay,
If you could, work with me on that.
and we both completed Rentwell. So
Okay.
we both have that $5,000 guarantee behind us.
Okay,
This has just been a real struggle. Everything that we've accomplished there, I've had to get done around them.
okay. So maybe we can talk more
Yeah,
after this.
Mhm.
And anyway, thank you for
okay,
coming.
thank you, yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And next I have, is it Charles? Welcome, Charles.
Commissioners, my name is Charles Jones.
Hi.
I've been living my whole life. I'm homeless. I got congestive heart failure, 10% of my heart's only working. I signed up for services with YCAP 2 years ago. Well, my heart was a little bit better, but not too much better. Doctors say the elements are gonna kill me. I was in the YCAP program in Newburgh for a minute. I found a piece of paraphernalia outside my room and turned it in and put it on my desk and went to my counselor for Yamhill County Mental Health and was processing it with her that I found paraphernalia. During that time I was with my counselor, I got a call saying I was kicked out because of paraphernalia there. I told him, you ain't me, I was clean. Look at the camera, I found it outside the room. There's children outside the room, I don't want picking it up. So they terminated me without giving me UA or anything. I had a heart operation and I was on bed rest. I was camped up by Whitecap. And officers gave me a camping violation. I couldn't move. I just had to go down with heart surgery. I got a camping ticket. I've been charged now twice with criminal trespass for camping. I'm in a tent, I'm covered, I'm doing what I can to stay warm. It's hard if they close the shelter, I don't know what we're gonna do. You know, I hold a sign sometimes just to eat.
Have you been in touch with the mission here in McMinnville?
Yeah, I have, I stay there on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has there been any connection to services or anything in addition to that?
Not yet, no.
So you're there 2 nights a week.
Uh,
Are you working on any of the programs or what they can provide for job training or connecting you with other services?
I don't work at disability in my heart.
So are you receiving disability?
I get $791 a month.
Okay, and you are in contact with the mission here?
Yes.
Okay,
And I work with the ACT team for the Yamhill County Behavioral Health.
okay.
So I got 2 peer support people, I see them a week, and a therapist I see a week.
And has there been any recommendation for housing supports?
They all put in and try to get a hold of Whitecap, but nobody's been able to get a hold of them or get any response from them.
I know the feeling.
Um,
Thank you, Charles.
they totally ignore us.
Okay, well, wish I had an answer.
There is no answer. They gotta do something, or I'm gonna die, and I'm not ready to die.
Thank you, Charles. We share your frustration and in ways that go beyond this as well. So, seniors and disability services.
Yeah, I'm hooked up with them.
Have you?
I'm trying
Yeah,
to think of all the
working-
options.
Yeah, I'm working with them now.
You are. Do they have a caseworker assigned? Do they?
Oh, my caseworker is, but I got a caseworker, and I get my food stamps through there and things through
Through
there.
Northwest Seniors?
Yeah,
Okay, and so you're basically hooked up with them. Who put you in touch with them?
my therapist for Yamhill County Mental Health.
And, okay, bless their hearts.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
All right, well, wish I had a fix.
So do I.
All
Thank
right, you
you.
take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Um, there was a recent inquiry into YCAP on a different topic, and the response was that the executive director is out until the end of February. So I'm not sure who to contact, but we can continue to keep trying.
Amber, I believe, is taking over, Amber Hanson Moore. We've had our frustrations with
Mhm.
responses from YCAP and no longer have an involvement with them based on, we took an action to remove county commissioner from their board of directors, and we're not players anymore. And what we have found is, in terms of oversight, when you're dealing with a nonprofit, it's one thing when you've got a government agency, you've got the the Government Ethics Commission, if you want to file a complaint, do a public records request. When you're dealing with a nonprofit, it's as if they're in this, this bubble. The accountability, we've gone to the state, we've worked with other CAP agencies. It seems that there's this sort of protective barrier, and we can't break through it in terms of folks that are addressing, some pretty significant life and death issues. We're pretty much, we've been hamstrung in this process.
I will say, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and for the record, Elise Yarnell Holloman, Newburgh, 112 South Main Street. I feel that the only opportunity for us to have any end roads of accountability for YCAP, because their stories are stories across the county, is to go directly to OHCS and to schedule a formal meeting, bipartisan across the board of elected officials. I am very concerned about the navigation center in McMinnville now also being pushed out. We have zero navigation in Newburgh. It is strictly sheltering. So Community Wellness Collective is doing navigation out of the drop-in center with Second Street Church. We are completely not funded through YCAP anymore. We are now in conversations directly with OHCS. So I think that is the only it's the only form of accountability that we could have, is some sort of accountability with their current funding.
So you're getting funding from OHCS for your drop-in center?
Not yet, but we're in the process of it. Yes,
Okay, so my understanding is that OHCS is very well aware of this.
they are.
Governor's office is very well aware
They
of
are.
this. And nobody's moved off the dime.
It feels like they're moving off the dime right now. I feel like we do have a moment right now as it's getting cold again, coming up on inclement weather, when we had zero sheltering options provided by YCAP last winter, as we all remember. We're going to have the same scenario happen now without a shelter in Newburgh. And for my conscience, I feel like it's an opportunity for us to come together and try to have a conversation in person with OHCS.
Okay, because there are concerns about the Newburgh shelter in terms of, folks in the community, folks in the area. Those have to be addressed and mitigated, and it cannot be ignored.
Which
But-
shelter are you speaking? The Harvest House shelter or the Ending Door Place, or?
Well, if you're talking about the shelter that the county helped to.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't think we're looking to reopen.
No, but what I'm saying is we have to take the whole community.
Sure.
in-
Oh, absolutely.
And look at their very legitimate
Sure.
concerns. But we also know that, so the Newburgh shelter was supposed to be a one-stop shop. Here are the
Right.
services, come in hook you up with all the different things so you know where to go, because it's so complicated.
Yeah.
And what we have now is a Monday through Friday shelter. On the weekends, am I right? You're on
Correct.
your own, and go figure it out.
Correct.
And it's from 7 PM to 7 AM.
Yes.
And but the rest of the time, the church, the storefront in Newburgh
Yes.
is the
Navigation center,
quote
basically.
unquote
Yes.
pop-up navigation center. And you're looking at funding for that. How is that being funded now?
Through private donors.
Through private donors?
Yep.
Okay,
And that we also received funding from YCCO as of recently,
right.
for some of that work too. Yeah.
Okay, so when you have something going on with OHCS, other than what they already know, maybe you can
Include you in Chairperson Shower. I will.
let us
Yeah.
know.
Well, we did try and go down that path
Okay.
earlier this year when we were having our own issues.
Sure.
There's a complaint process. However, it was pretty quickly kicked back up to the legislative level, or the governor's, level. It's nothing that counties can necessarily impact.
Yeah.
It's not just Yamhill County, it's risen to the level of a regional issue.
Mhm.
So much so that we were talking about this in our District 6 meeting of what kind of legislation can we put into place to force accountability,
Mhm.
since we can't
Yeah.
get into the books. We can't, there's no oversight. They have their own board. It's a nonprofit. We have no direct oversight, yet they're receiving multi-millions of dollars of public funding.
Right.
So that is being discussed. Someone mentioned something even as specific as like an ORSTAR system for them, for CAP agencies specifically.
Okay.
So it's risen to the level of concern,
Mhm.
not just here, but I'm presumably statewide.
And yeah.
that folks are wondering where the money's going because it's
'Cause it's
not
not touching. the
being
surf, yeah.
seen
Yeah.
on the street. So I don't know the status of that. I can ask in terms of where it's at in the legislative planning. But I would just say if you're able to get some type of meeting with OHCS, then we probably should be at the table to
It would
talk
be
about
great
some
if
of
you were, yeah.
these concerns, at least from a county level.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So I'll take a stab at it. And as for the Newburgh shelter, I very much hear your concerns about just if there is an inclement weather shelter, where that would be. And so I do take that to heart, just to acknowledge that. So we will engage people that we know have concern.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other public comment before I jump into sort of the ARPA related public comment? And if you're online, please raise your virtual hand. Okay. And so now I want to make sure we tackled the ARPA related comments or requests. And so if you are here to speak directly to that, I'm going to kick it off with Russell Mark, Director of Juliet's House. But anyone else who has a specific request or commentary on that, we're going to do that now instead of later during the public hearing. Welcome, Russell. Good to see
Good
you.
morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Russell Mark. I'm the CEO of Juliet's House here in McMinnville, but we serve all of Yamhill County. I'm here specifically to address the ARPA funds that are remaining. And as many of you know, several months ago, we began a coalition of healthcare and social service and legal collaboration to create a family justice center where we can co-locate many of these services that can also directly affect what our previous speakers were just talking about. We know we can make a huge impact in the way services are delivered throughout this community. Right now, our preliminary plans are not only to have child abuse and domestic violence services available, but also legal aid, court. We hope to have a virtual court. We'll have child care facilities for an area of our community that has no child care. We're in the process of building that and of building that case. And also, we are very close to submitting a letter of intent for purchase of a building that would house the Family Justice Center. So as you are considering what to do with the funds, we highly request the opportunity to present to you a more complete plan of how funds can be used to make a profound difference in our community. We would also suggest that it would be a wonderful thing if we could present perhaps at the January informal meeting of the commission, where we can lay out everything and show you maps and the building, which we hope to have acquired at that point or in the process. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your consideration as you move forward.
Russell, do you guys have a package that you can, or a proposal that you can put in front of us?
We can create one. We haven't created one yet because we've been so focused on trying to acquire a building.
Okay.
And we appreciate Commissioner Johnston's assistance in thinking through the process.
Yeah. Because those decisions, I don't believe we're going to talk about specifics today, but I think we have to make a decision by December 31st. So
Okay.
it's pretty quick.
We'll have information ready for you.
Okay.
And this will be obviously an ongoing conversation as we build out. And
Right. Yeah.
these things are not built overnight, but
Absolutely.
we've come a long way in a very short time.
Well, this has been something that I know several generations of commissioners have talked about, where we kind of wanted to model after Polk County's Family Academy, where it was, I believe, is an old schoolhouse. Is it an old schoolhouse?
Mhm.
And in it, it was amazing because you could walk from window to window to window to office and get everything all of the different services were represented there. So you didn't have to drive around or figure out where to go.
Exactly.
There was no, you need to go down here, one door down. And they had diapers, they had the food bank, they had all of the various things, because it's really hard to navigate all that.
It absolutely is. And working with navigators here, there are only 2 other family justice centers in the state. We would be the first designed for a rural community. And it will be a model program that then we want to promote to other parts of the state and through National Children's Alliance Network across the country.
So you're funding, your primary funding for the acquisition, or
We are looking at state funding, federal funding, private donations. We've been in touch with a number of foundations that are very excited about the project. I met with Congresswoman Salinas yesterday. She's very hopeful for some federal funding to come our way, as well as Senators Wyden and Merkley.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russell.
Okay, any other public comment? And again, if you're online, please raise your virtual hand. All right, hearing none, we will move on to our department updates. There's nothing today. There is nothing on the work session calendar. Consent agenda, looks like we have some license renewals and reappointments for LIAC. I will move approval of consent. Is there, well, first of all, anybody need to remove anything? No? Okay.
No.
So I move approval of consent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, item H is old business. There's nothing today. Item I, other business. I1 is consideration of approval of the lease agreement between Mark Byerly and Yamaha County, Board Order 16-479, extending terms through November 30th of 2025 and adding an option to renew for 2 additional one-year terms, effective December 1st of 2024. I will move approval. Is there any discussion?
None.
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I2, consideration of approval of amendment number 2 to agreement number 55198 between Yamaha County and Lane County, Board Order 20-021, for food handler training and testing, revenue sharing, extending terms through December 31st of 2026.
Chair, I'll move
Effective January 1st of 2025.
Sorry. I'll move approval.
Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay. Item 3 is discussion of county administrator, county council employee review. We did meet in executive session today and no further action is needed at this time. So we will move into our public hearing. J1 is receipt of public comment on the 2024-25 supplemental county budget. And we are looking at consideration of approval of a board order and resolution 24-10-31-1 in the matter of the adoption of a supplemental budget for fiscal year 2024-25 regarding the American Rescue Plan Act Fund, which is Fund 232. Ken, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, I can kick it off and then we can open it for any comments that might
Okay.
be there. And just to kind of clarify, because I know what was, we had public comment coming forward related to the ARPA funds.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily to how the funds are going to be spent. What we need to do is based on, as I outlined in the memo, that we didn't do full awards under several categories, and then also some timing with the rural broadband that it was budgeted to be completed by June 30th, and we didn't do that. So we had unanticipated revenues for the new fiscal year. We're up against timelines as far as obligation and spending the funds. So we have an unusual circumstance that we have. I need to have the funds fully appropriated in the current year budget, and that's why there's a supplemental budget before you. So this is really to appropriate those unanticipated revenues to make sure we have the funds available, and then the board would be able to schedule further discussions later on how you want to spend those funds. The only portion that's already been obligated is the rural broadband funds. But again, based on the decision that was made on the grant awards, there were some savings in there as well, because you're not using that full amount of the ARPA funds. And a majority of that project's being funded from the monies that Senator Boquist identified that we received directly from the state. And that's fully appropriated. So again, this is more of an administrative housekeeping and to ensure that the funds are fully appropriated so the board, so we can get the funds obligated by the end of this calendar year and then start, because that's a quick turnaround when we have to have it spent by December of 26. It sounds like a long ways off, but it's not.
Okay.
Okay. And the difference that we're approving or adjusting is the 1.061272.
That's correct. And we did publish the notice and
Okay.
fulfilled all the requirements per Oregon budget law. So the change is appropriating the additional $1,061,272.
Okay. And so now we call for public comment. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to any public comment. And if you are online, please raise your virtual hand. Okay. Hearing none. We close the public hearing. So I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and then we have to, you need a motion to approve. Okay, so I move approval of board order and resolution 24-10-31-1. Christian, do we have to read titles or anything like that?
No.
Okay,
Now, if there's any further discussion.
all right. Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Great, motion passes. And so just to clarify, the balance of $766,681 is the difference between like administrative overhead costs and certain things that we need.
That 776,681 is what's available that hasn't been obligated to a specific project
Okay.
or, and that's the amount that it's up to the board on how soon you want to schedule something to talk about how we want to obligate those funds.
Okay. Thoughts on when we want to do that?
Is next Thursday too soon? The following Thursday?
I want to make sure Ken's here.
Oh, so you're here for the next 2 weeks? So that-
I'm not missing any formal sessions for the time off that's coming up.
Okay.
Nicely played.
He might have wanted to, but
The 7th and the 13th.
14th.
14th. And then okay. Got it. All right, so
14th is fine with me.
14th? Okay.
and
'Cause
that
we do
gives
have
us,
the FEMA discussion
right.
next week. And so I'm not sure how long that discussion is going to be or how
Okay.
long. And
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 14th would give us enough time to appropriate before the deadline, given any agreements that might be necessary.
yeah, you
Okay.
shouldn't have, based on the action that you did today, the funds it's in effect.
Okay.
They're fully appropriated. And it's just whether or not if there are specific projects you want to
Right.
obligate that remaining funds to. Yeah, we should have plenty of time.
Okay. All right, so we will plan on November 14th for discussion of how to allocate the remaining ARPA funds. Okay. I believe that wraps up most of our agenda, and we are now at announcements. So I think we all got the letter yesterday, I think it was yesterday, from Congressman Benson, Congresswoman Chavez Dreamer about the NFIP, the National Flood Insurance Program, and the issues with FEMA. So this is something that Ken Friday put on our radar a couple weeks back. It's been going on for a while, but it sounds like we will be hearing from him next week. And this is a significant change to the requirements for that program that will impact land use approvals and development and building codes and all of the things in the county. So hopefully FEMA is responsive to our congressional delegation and their requests to push this off. However, they've been silent so far. So I was considering adding a letter today, but I really don't think it's going to matter. If they are not listening to our congressional representatives, then, you know, a county letter is just a county letter. We've already actually sent letters in the past. So hopefully they respond and they delay the implementation, but we'll see. If not, this thing goes into, we have to make a decision by December 1st. So it's very quick.
Thought it was December 31st. No, it was December 1st.
December 1st. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I was hoping that our planning commission could at least opine, but I don't know that they're going to meet.
They're not meeting this month.
Well,
Yeah.
They didn't really give us many choices here. FEMA
No.
basically said, you do this.
It's one
There's
of
three
them.
options and it sounded like there's no wiggle room. You
There's-
pick one of the three.
There's no good answer.
Right.
And
Right.
you're right, they haven't been responsive, and all of the counties, I think except for 3 or 4, would be impacted by
Impacted.
this and
Yeah.
have expressed concerns through AOC and through natural resources, and complete silence.
Yeah.
It kind of
Mhm.
reminds me of the wildfire mapping. It was like, yeah, you ostensibly have input, but you really don't.
Yeah.
It's been very frustrating.
Especially, I mean, just one particular city within our county, Sheridan, isn't almost 100%
Mhm.
completely
Right.
affected by this because they are in a floodplain.
Yep.
So,
Well, if you think a letter would help, we can throw one together, but I mean, it was a very strongly worded letter from our Congress men and women.
Yeah, and AOC has, we sent one out from
Mhm.
AOC. And,
Okay. I did
Yeah.
ask their staffers, what they're hearing internally. Do they intend to get a response, or nobody knows? So we'll see.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll have that work session next week. Other announcements. Commissioner Johnston and I attended the 4-H awards on Monday night. Always a fun bunch of kids, and very impressive with all of their hard work this year. So
Yeah.
it was good to see Kaylani Cruz in her new role. And then last night, we attended our DA Brad Berry's retirement, and it was a packed room. Lots of folks came to pay their respects, especially from law enforcement and our criminal justice community. So it was really wonderful to see, very emotional, and just keep him in your prayers for a peaceful retirement, peace of mind. He has seen a lot of really tough things in his 27-year career, so we're grateful for him. Any other announcements?
trick or treat.
Trunk or
We got 3rd Street, you got Lums, you got Willamina. I think Sheridan's
Newburgh.
got one, Newburgh's.
Newburgh.
So a lot of candy to be had, starting at about 3 o'clock today. And I got, I think, 6 bags of Costco candy myself, so.
Yeah. And I think clocks go back on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Daylight savings. Yep. And of course, we have an election on Tuesday. So last weekend to vote, everybody get their ballots in. Woo woo. Okay. If there is nothing else for the good of the order, I will adjourn the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners formal session for October 31st, 2024. It is